session. Okay. All right. So yes, Solarize808. It's primarily solar energy and battery storage. However, we recognize that the whole ecosystem of clean energy technologies is rapidly expanding as we make the transition to a cleaner renewable energy future. And so we are increasingly seeing more technologies come into these programs, be it energy efficiency type measures, maybe it's a smart thermostat or any of the technologies that might be available through a DER program, and electric vehicle charging station, things like that. So, but primarily we're focused here on call it rooftop distributed generation, solar plus storage systems. All right, our project area. It kind of is twofold. It's a part A and a part B answer. The part A is that we're really trying to prioritize communities that could benefit the most from a program like this, where we're able to make solar more affordable and more accessible for both homeowners and homeowners of Wanaimoku and Kuala Loa. But the program does also include any residents of the island of Oahu, including homeowners and business owners. And so what we're trying to do here, and I'll explain a little bit better than I'm explaining now, but we want to try to leverage the entire community, the entire island of Oahu, in order to bring down the cost for these communities that we are prioritizing, that really are experiencing higher energy burdens and that can benefit the most from these systems that are being offered through here. And hopefully that'll become clear as we go through this presentation. But just want to, off the top of the presentation, want you to understand the difference between these communities we're prioritizing, and but that the entire island of Oahu is included here. Apologize for the kind of gritty nature of this one, but just real quick, there's a bunch of organizations that are supporting this effort. They're not part of the RFP necessarily, but they are providing maybe technical assistance or financial assistance, or some other kind of outreach or marketing assistance in some shape, way, or form. And just want to recognize those folks that we've been working with for a few months now. Okay, what is Solarize? So at its essence, Solarize is a group purchasing campaign where we try to get as many people in a community to go in on the cost of solar together, and be able to get volumetric discounts on materials and pricing. One way I've described it before, which I'm probably going to get in trouble for because of copyright purposes, but if you were to take, say, Angie's List, which I think is called Angie's now, and Groupon, and smash those together for solar, that's kind of what we're talking about here. It is open to residential, commercial, and nonprofit entities, and the whole idea is to make solar and storage more affordable and accessible for a limited period of time. And there are deadlines associated with this campaign, which we're going to get into here in just a second, but and a timeline that will give you an idea of what kind of timeline we're looking at for this campaign as well. I want to just emphasize that this is a community-based Solarize program. So we have a lot of different organizations involved that are helping out in various ways. And some of those ways are helping to put out this request for proposal. And the request for proposal helps us, in the programs that we've done in the past, make solar and storage more accessible. And the way that happens is a lot of folks just don't know where to start. And I know Hawaii is a more mature market than all the other markets in the United States, but it's still, it can be sometimes a little overwhelming to know, how to get started. What is a good solar panel? What's a good battery? What are the warranties and the cycles associated with those? Who's a good contractor? What's a good price? There's just all kinds of things. Unless you're, if you've been involved in this industry for a long time, like I have, a lot of that's just not second nature. So through this RFP process, at the end of it, we will have been able to select uh, a contractor or contractors, depending on what you're interested in bidding on. We will know what the materials that we're going to work with, and we understand there's some supply chain issues out there, and we can talk about that in the Q&A session. But to the extent that we can identify the panels, inverters, batteries, and racking equipment in advance, then we know what we're dealing with. There's a tiered pricing structure I'm going to go through. And also in the RFP, we ask you to tell us not only what the warranties on the materials are, but what is your workmanship warranty. And so knowing all of that in advance, we think helps make solar more affordable. And if we can get, more accessible. And, if we can get a bunch of people to go in and go in on the cost of solar together, then there's an opportunity to get volumetric discounts on those materials and on the installations and site visits and all that kind of stuff, which we're going to talk about here in a minute as well. We do a ton of education and outreach events throughout the campaign, which again, we have a slide on that too. And one of the best things about these events are these campaigns is that even long after the campaign has come and gone, the contractors that were selected to participate in the campaign, really have a lasting relationship, not just with all of the organizations that participated in the campaign, but the communities themselves. And there's no better marketing than word of mouth or by referral. And that's what we have found a lot of folks get long after these campaigns are long gone, is a continuous referral base for many years to come. We do place a special emphasis to try to reach LMI families and Native communities and communities of color where at all possible. This is all part of the community-based campaign. And hopefully we're going to be able to do some workforce development and training during this campaign. That's not quite developed yet. That's something we're working on as we go through this RFP process, and also something that we need contractors to help on to the extent that you can also participate in a workforce development program that can help train and hire folks that are in our prioritized communities. One of the best things about the Solarize programs is after you've pre-selected the contractor and pre-negotiated the group discount pricing, and you know what the materials are being used, you're providing free site evaluations for folks. And then having deadlines to enroll in the campaign, and having a deadline to sign a contract that really motivates people to to get off the fence. Stop waiting for the next big thing to come around. We have all experienced the situation where you do evaluations for people and you never hear from them again, or we get ghosted a lot in this industry, right? And there's a lot of hard work that goes into putting these proposals together, and a lot of times they just don't pan out. Well, having a deadline for these campaigns that says all of the benefits that come with a Solarize campaign are going to go away unless you sign up, by a particular date helps motivate those folks. And we think all of these things together help address market barriers that, might not otherwise be addressed in a regular market situation. I won't go through all of this. We can focus on the middle one here, but the benefits we like to think are a win-win-win for the participants, installer, and the community. But for the installer in particular, it's the number one thing is reducing customer acquisition costs. Like I said, we are going to be embarking on a very heavy education and outreach campaign over the next few months that will include paid advertising, community events, commercials on TV and radio, and a whole host of other things. And there's going to be what we like to see is a big volume of folks who are signing up for a limited period of time. So this means a pretty good volume of leads that you might not be accustomed to. We're looking at around, anywhere from 300 to 500 leads that we will generate for you within the next 4 to 6 months. So that's a large volume that you might not be used to, but we believe, or we like to believe, that by doing all of these things as part of this campaign, we're reducing your customer acquisition costs. And wherever we can help improve a permit process by having these coalition of organizations involved and working in a limited geographic area in a limited period of time, that we are indeed able to reduce some of the costs that you would otherwise have to deal with, and then pass those savings on to the customer. So that's the idea of how we can save you money and help save the customer's money down the road. But then also, let's not forget about the opportunity to group discount some of those materials and installations along the way. I don't want to tell you how to bid this campaign or anything, but in previous campaigns, we have, if we're able to reach our goals, we're able to save people anywhere from 20 to 25, and in some cases even more than that percent on the cost of a system that would otherwise exist outside this campaign using similar materials. We are looking for folks to bid on residential and commercial. Now, we recognize that there's a lot of specialization going out in the marketplace. Some folks only specialize in residential, some only specialize in commercial. There might be a few that do both. So should you bid on this campaign, you have a choice of bidding on residential only, commercial only, or residential and commercial. And we have the discretion on the campaign side to select either one organization to work with or two, depending on the bids and how they come in. Now, I know this is a little faded, but I wanted to show you what a tiered pricing looks like and what that might mean for this campaign. Okay, so this is all, it's all solar plus storage. Yes, there's going to be people who might already have solar and they're only interested in a battery, or vice versa. But what we'd like to do is try to get group discount purchasing on a solar plus storage system. Now, ignore these. This is for a different campaign. I just lifted this chart off of a campaign that we have already done. So please ignore the module and the battery and even ignore the pricing. I just want to go over how this whole concept works. So in this example, each one of these tiers represents 50 kilowatts of energy or of electricity. And so the example I always like to use is if you have 10 people that all are looking at a 5 kilowatt system plus a battery storage device, for example, then that would equal 50 kilowatts of solar. And that those 10 people would then pay $3.10 a watt. Now, this was pre-pandemic pricing on a campaign we had in the Virgin Islands, and it also, this is before supply chain. So, again, please ignore this pricing if it's not applicable today. But those first 10 people would pay $3.10 a watt. And then that 11th person that comes along would also get a 5 kilowatt system. And that 11th person, we have 11 people times 5 kilowatts, that equals 55 kilowatts. So that 11th person would pay $3 a watt. And the more people we can get signed up, the more we get the pricing down. It's all economies of scale and volumetric pricing. So should we hit our tier, our goal, say in this example is tier 6, and that would be over 251 kilowatts of solar capacity, plus the, for this example, it was a 10 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery. So this example would be $2.70 a watt if we were to reach our final tier. Now, the way this whole thing works is everybody pays the same price. So the people who signed up early and were paying a higher price will get a rebate check, depending on whichever tier we end up at the end of the program. They'll get a rebate check between the difference that they paid and the pricing that we end up at. Now, I want to just emphasize, we understand it's really hard to come up with a kilowatt pricing for both solar and storage. If you've already figured it out, that's great. But the way we normally would do this is that this pricing represents just the solar only portion. And then it would be, we would add, in this case, it was $6,500 for this particular type of battery that was being offered for this system. So let's say if it was a 10 kilowatt system, it'd be $31,000 plus the $6,500 for the battery. And that was the best way we could figure out how to do it when you're including solar and storage, which is what this campaign is about. It's going to be very rare that I think we're going to sell just a solar only system or just a battery only system, but it's certainly possible. If it is just a battery only, we do like to try to achieve volume discounts with batteries as well as the solar, but acknowledging batteries go on a kilowatt hour capacity basis, whereas solar is a kilowatt basis. It's hard to do it all in one chart. So in this case, depending on the amount of capacity we can get for the batteries, then there might be an associated discount available. And we understand also that to achieve economies of scale and a group discount with batteries is more difficult than it is with solar in terms of the percent of a discount that you can get. So, but you will see in attachment B of the RFP an opportunity to put in there what the volumetric discount would be for both the solar and for the batteries. All right, now for commercial, it's a little different. We have found it's actually instead of doing aggregate amount of capacity for solar and an aggregate amount of capacity for batteries, solar is just a completely different animal, as you guys are familiar with. Those decisions for commercial are made in a boardroom or some kind by committee and not at a kitchen table. They take longer, and you really can't make a decision for a business on whether we might reach tier 7 or not. So the way we normally price out commercial is just by the size of the system itself. So in this case, anything under 30 kilowatts would be 265, and anything between 31 and 60 kilowatts would be 245, and so forth and so on. So this does not aggregate and discount, just because we have found it's really hard to do it that way. So based on the system size is how commercial pricing works for this program. Here's how we're organized. Solarize808, and then just is what it is called. Then we have all of our partnering organizations that form a steering committee. And because this is it's a large community-based campaign, we have to sometimes break things out into different working groups. So if you are selected as our contractor as part of this program, we would ask either one or a couple of members of your team to participate as part of the steering committee and any of these working groups that are formed in order to really facilitate the campaign from beginning to end. Here's just a quick look at what our education and outreach event schedule would look like. We are looking to launch this campaign on or around March 15th. And then every month thereafter, we like to have what we call a town hall or an info session. And this is just to get folks acquainted with the program. We go through Solar 101, we go through Solarize 101, we explain the pricing and how that tiered pricing works. And then we introduce you, and then you're able to introduce your company, what your values are, the materials that you've selected, and the process, what people can expect after they sign up for the campaign. We also like to have specialized events on the bottom here. You see, we'll have a specialized event for businesses and nonprofit entities. There's a lot of good stuff in the Inflation Reduction Act that make working with nonprofits more interesting than ever. Financing workshops or a low and moderate income workshop. And then once we get some installations in, it's always great to have a house party or an open house event where we can invite people to come actually look at what these installations look like. Give me 1 second, please. Sorry about that, kids coming home from school. I'm on the East Coast. Okay. Moving right along. All right. As far as these education outreach events, we already kind of looked at the town hall and the workshop and the open house. We also like to just be where people are to the extent that it's possible, where we can, table at a farmer's market or table at a festival or, any kind of an event that it would make sense for us to be at, where we can share information about this opportunity, about your company, and about what we're offering. That's where we want to be. And we'll have a lot of support in order to do that. And then the things that we discuss at these at our own education and outreach events are, things that I talked about just a second ago. What are the local incentives and local policies? Try to clear up any misunderstandings or any myths associated with, I don't know, net metering or the lack thereof. There is some financing options available through this campaign that you'll see in the RFP as well. But we also encourage you to bring any financing that you might, relationships that you might have. We also have relationships with different financing companies as well. Some of the big ones, like you're probably already familiar with, including, say, Mosaic or Good Leap or any of those type of no money down, large dealer fee kind of financing, which have really been more difficult to work with lately. We've seen some of those companies increase their dealer fees by another 20% or so just since interest rates started going up. So There will be some income qualified on-bill financing options through this campaign. However, you know, we're always looking for new financing options and having those discussions with folks on the island as well. Here's just a quick look of our schedule. We released the RFP on the 23rd of January. Today, we're having our bid meeting. The bids are going to be due on February 23rd. I want you to go ahead and save this date if you can. After you turn in your bid, we need a couple of days to review things, but then we will want to interview you and your team. This will be a virtual interview for 45 minutes on the 27th of February, and we'll work out the timing and all that after we receive your bid. But we would like to have an opportunity to ask questions that we're going to have of your bid, and then you can ask us questions too. Make sure that we're all feeling good about working together.
Thank you.
And then we are looking to make a selection on who the winning contractor or contractors are by March 1st, and then launch the campaign a couple weeks after that. These dates can move. However, we do have a large buy in already for some advertising. That's on the clock. So we do want to go ahead and kind of push the envelope on this campaign and get things going sooner than later. All right, this is a very dizzying slide, but I do want to just focus on the left and the right hand side, maybe not so much the middle. But this is our selection criteria, and probably the most important part of the RFP for you to look at, because what we've done here is we've selected things that we are very interested in and then ranked them as you know, what priority they are to us. So, and we did this not arbitrarily. We had a couple of community events over the past few months where we put these selection criteria out to the folks that showed up, and we asked them what's most important to them. So this is all done with feedback from the community, and pricing came in, as you can imagine, as the most important thing, but not far behind. It was the system quality, who the contractor is, the kind of customer service that they offer, and how they are going to be able to go about facilitating a large volume of leads in a short period of time. Not just the warranties for the components, but also the workmanship warranty. And I want to emphasize here for just a second that with the financing that we're able to offer through the program, which is really great financing, I should add, a 10-year workmanship warranty is required as part of that. We also are emphasizing local-based organizations and local hiring. So if you're not based on Oahu or in Hawaii, that's fine. We still want to work with you, but there may be a preference for any folks who are willing to base their operations locally and hire locally. This is all a community-based campaign, and it makes sense, you know, to emphasize that as part of it. We are encouraging signups for Hawaii Energy's Energy Smart for Homes program, also as part of this campaign, to the extent that you are able to offer energy efficiency upgrades or services and products. That's great. To the extent you're able to partner with somebody who offers those, that's also great. But we want you in your response to the RFP to be able to address energy efficiency in the best way that you can. Having an energy efficiency offering is not required. I want to emphasize that. But it also might be preferred if you have some kind of an outlet where energy efficiency measures can be made. And then rounding it out, financing and system aesthetics are also important to the community and things that we are also emphasizing in this campaign. So, and then of course, here's on the right-hand side is how all of these things are ranked. There is a platform and administration fee associated with this campaign. And this is for Solar Crowdsource, my organization. Just in the interest of full transparency, we are a for-profit organization. We've been doing these Solarize programs for 7 years now. We've done over 20 of them around the country and in the territories. And we've been working on this for a long time, and we put a lot of resources into these campaigns on the front end in terms of both, money and hours. We take care of all the marketing, signage. It's really, we'd like to make it as plug and play for the contractors as possible. So you can really focus on proposals and contracting and installations, and let us, to the extent that you can, allow us to handle a lot of the marketing and the outreach and the education aspect of it, with your assistance, of course. But this fee does not include anything that would be a pass-through, like financing fees or taxes or anything else that is a pass-through. Is not included, but that's 5% for residential, 4% for any commercial up to 100 kilowatts, and 3% for commercial over 100 kilowatts. That's how that works. And that is the end of the presentation at this point. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. We are still recording, just to give you a reminder, but it's now time to turn to your questions, and we'll try to answer them to the best we can. If we can't answer your questions today, we'll certainly get back to you and as quickly as we can and answer your questions at that time. Okay, so I don't see any questions in the chat here, so I'll just I'll stop talking now, and anybody who has any questions, go ahead and turn your mic on and go ahead and fire away.
I have a quick one. On this, in this campaign, are we required to accept customers as they come in?
I mean, I think the answer is no. I mean, if there's a customer who can't go solar for some reason, or maybe they don't qualify for financing, or a number of different things, or maybe they're just a terrible person and you don't want to work with them, I mean, that's fine. But at the same time, this campaign is open to all people on Oahu, especially these prioritized areas. And, there's absolutely zero tolerance for any, type of discrimination or anything like that. Jason, I'm not suggesting that's what you're saying, but I feel like I have to emphasize that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it just as far as Hawaii roofs and locations and certain barriers that would prevent, even in the best circumstances of hitting a target number that we've given, some customers may just not hit that mark.
Well, yes, but let me also take this opportunity to talk about attachment D to the RFP, which, if you haven't had a chance to look at that yet, that's an opportunity for you to include any increasing cost factors or any other adders that might exist due to site conditions. So, if you have a tough roof to deal with, whether it's a really tall one that requires a lift, or if it's really steep, or if it requires, structural reinforcement, whatever the case may be, you're not stuck with that one price. There are adders available depending on those site conditions that can, offer, to make you whole. And so you're not, in a situation where you made this bid at a certain price, and then you get to this property and it's a terrible site condition. You're not stuck at that price. You can add whatever you need to add in order to make that work. And hopefully, that would work for the customer, or we can find financing for that. All right. I know I didn't answer everybody's question off the bat. So you guys fire away. I don't feel like I was on my A game today. So I know I missed maybe something in there, but go ahead. Okay. All right, with that, as a follow-up, here's what we're going to do. As I mentioned at the top of the program, we are recording this session, and we will post a video of the recording to the RFP page. And the RFP documents are located on that page, which I'm sure you've already found, or else you wouldn't be here. We ask that any questions that you might have after today be directed to admin@solarize808.com, and we will be monitoring that email address and respond to you as quickly as we can. Not only will we respond to you through that email, but we will also post your question and the answer up on that RFP page. So in case somebody else had the same question you did, I think it's just important for us to make sure that everybody's working off the same information. So we want to level the playing field as much as possible. All right, so that's how we'll handle things between now and February 23rd. February 23rd is when bids are due at 5:00 p.m. We just ask that if you can put everything in one RFP and send that via email to that admin@solarize808.com address, then that's where we'll get your bid, and then you'll hear from us. When you send your bid, we will confirm receipt and acknowledge it, just so you know that we have it, and then we'll be reaching out to you again to schedule that interview at a time that's convenient for you on that day. Last chance for questions. Okay. I want to thank everybody for coming today, and good luck. And we'll look forward to seeing your questions out there, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you very much for coming today.